Rise Move. Julian Adorni, an economics writer and a Young Voices advocate, up late with me live from Colorado here on the Final Five. Good to see you. Welcome to the show.
Thanks so much, Jim.
So we've been hearing this. We've been hearing the stories, and you hear different reaction about this. And on paper, making $15 an hour for a lot of people is good news. But from your perspective, from an economics perspective, how does this play?
Yeah, so a lot of liberals, including Senator Sanders, have been praising Bezos for this move, and they seem to think that it's just out of the generosity of his heart. But it's unlikely that Bezos was visited with the ghost of three Christmas ghosts. His cold heart suddenly thawed, and now he's trying to be generous to his employees. What's actually going on here, when he tries to pass a higher minimum wage, he's essentially trying to impose higher labor costs on his competitors in the industry, hoping that Amazon can weather those costs better than competitors can, and so he can consolidate his market dominance.
You know, here in D.C., there's the fight for 15 is real around here, and we're going to see it get to that point at some point over the next couple of years. And we also have several Whole Foods markets. So I know when I heard Amazon at first, I didn't necessarily make the connection that we were also going to see it at Whole Foods as well. So if this is a way to quash competition, you're doing it from two fronts here: retail and online.
Absolutely. And on the retail front, it's very smart because Whole Foods workers have already been wanting to unionize. So raising their wage essentially cuts off their demands at the knees. And so it's a good business decision. But then when Bezos tries to force other companies to do it by passing a federal minimum wage, he sort of forces them to make the same decision in a way that's not as good business for them.
You know, when we look at this in the grand scheme and in the long run, because I talked to you a little bit earlier tonight, and in a lot of towns, a lot of cities, including here in D.C., we have Montgomery County, the district, and Northern Virginia competing for Amazon HQ2. So that's another political fight on another front. Do you see any correlation between the fight for that and maybe trying to appease yourself to some of these towns, or are these two totally different situations?
I think they're two very different situations, but they do share a common thread in that it's Amazon lobbying for corporate protections. The higher minimum wage is basically a corporate regulation they can lobby for, just like HQ2 is.
So, I know we still have this, again, we keep mentioning fight for 15, and I know that is the slogan that the pro-minimum wage forces are really pushing, but do we see any action down the road? I know that every now and then we hear a push on the federal front, as you mentioned, the federal minimum wage. The politics of that, do we see any motion on that as a result of this, or is this a matter of just letting the free market play its way through?
I think we do see motion on that. I think that's one of the reasons Amazon is doing this, because they are a market leader and they are trying to push this legislation through.
Do you think though, because we know that the president is not a big fan of Jeff Bezos for many reasons, the Washington Post for one of them, but we should point out the Post and Amazon are two different entities, just happens to be owned by the same guy. The president, though, I mean, it would seem a little ironic for Jeff Bezos to guide that battle and to be the voice of that battle if that happens to get to that point.
It does, because there is some animosity there for sure.
Yeah.
But he is going to be working with he is going to try and work with Congress, not the president directly in this case.
Well, we know you always got to get the approval from him, it seems, too. He's going to have to sign off on something. But regardless, Julian Adorni, very nice meeting you. Thanks for coming on tonight.
Thanks for having me.
And I can only imagine that Amazon...